Go.
Welcome back to another episode of Compelled, a podcast where we attempt to bring out the bigger issues and injustices. So let's just do this.
Yeah, I still don't like that.
I know.
It's a weird...
So let's just do this?
No, let's just do this is fine. It's just where we attempt to bring out bigger issues and injustices. It should be, welcome to another episode of Compelled. Let's just do this. But whatever, for now, I'm just going to have to fucking deal with it. So today what we're going to be talking about is, I saw this interesting thing called Three Identical Strangers. And there was a documentary on it, and basically it is about three kids. Let's just get into it. In 1980, Robert Shafran arrived at Sullivan Community College in upstate New York. It's Sullivan County Community College. He was a freshman, and he was greeted by unexpected backslaps from fellow students welcoming him back to school. He realized he was being mistaken for a former student with whom he quickly arranged a meeting. Indeed, he and Eddy Galland looked exactly the same, but what's more, they shared a birthday and were both adopted, leading to the two they were twins. Newspaper headlines and photos of the pair attracted the attention of another curly-haired 19-year-old, David Kellman, and the three discovered that they were triplets separated at birth. Now, I know what you're thinking, so what? It happens. Well, this is a weird fucking story. It's a documentary. It's called Three Identical Strangers. Okay, and then they are not the only one the only people that this has happened to. Not only were the trio identical physically, they shared many specific behaviors. All were wrestlers, had a preference for dating older women, and smoked the same brand of cigarettes. As they politically correctly put, apropos of the time.
Apropos, yeah.
Yeah, apropos. The long-lost brother bonded joyfully, exploring the 1980s New York City scene, party scene together, and even started a business together, a restaurant aptly named Triplets. So, why were they separated at birth?
Should I make a wild guess?
Sure.
The doctor was getting some kind of high-paying kickbacks to separate kids, and whenever twins were delivered, and he would somehow send them off and make a bunch of money from adoption companies or whatever.
It's possible, but I don't think it was a doctor. However, we learned that their adoption was arranged by the preeminent and now defunct New York-based Louise Wise Adoption Agency, founded in the early 20th century to match Jewish orphans with adoptive families. Now, these guys are not orphans.
But they do have Jufros, I can see in the picture.
In the 1960s, some psychologists believe that separating orphan twins... No, they have hair from the 80s, dude.
I know.
Some psychologists believe that separating orphan twins or triplets afforded a better opportunity for each to forge an independent identity. The triplets, however, were deliberately assigned to particular families as part of a secret study designed to examine the effects of nature versus nurture. The study, led by child psychoanalyst Peter Neubauer, placed multiple sets of twins and with the triplets with families whose socioeconomic status and even family structure were carefully controlled. The families were aware neither of the other identical siblings nor of the participation in the study. How fucked up is that?
That's very fucked up. Yearly comprehensive questionnaires and film documentation of the siblings' milestones were couched as standard follow-up studies of adopted children. As the film unfolds, even more sinister details of the study and its effects on the triplets' lives are revealed. 5 years in the making, Three Identical Strangers deftly interweaves interviews with the triplets, their family members, and the few surviving researchers associated with the research. The film tackles both the questionable underpinnings of the study and the fundamental questions it attempted to address. Current rules of informed consent would now preclude to the existence of such a study.
Reread that.
Current rules of informed consent would now preclude the existence of such a study. And Wardle implies that the moral and ethical issues of the study were likely of concern to Neubauer, who died in 2008, as well as to the Louise Wise Agency. The irony of a Jewish researcher and a Jewish adoption agency conducting a twin study after the atrocities waged against Jewish people in Nazi Germany is clear, and perhaps the reason that Neubauer never published the study and sealed his data in a Yale archive until 2066.
Okay, now this doesn't give the whole story about what's going on. And Oops, I didn't want that. I wanted, that's not what I wanted. Come on. Well, we're going to go with Eddy Galland. Really? This would be great if I could find any information about the...
Isn't that weird that all three of them did the same things? Smoked the same brand of cigarettes, things like that. It's
well,
like...
I don't know. I mean, it depends on what type of brand it was. Like, if it was an off-brand, like GPC Mint, yeah, I can understand
or
that.
Or Dunhills.
Yeah, or, just like some fucking...
But if it's all Marlboro Reds or Marlboro Lights...
Or Winston's or whatever, I don't buy that. Okay. It's how many people smoke fucking Marlboro?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was, though, because they're all similar, that they did have a certain taste that they all were attracted to.
Yeah.
It just kind of makes you wonder, like, how much do you actually have that's preordained in your genes, and how much do you make of your own,
Their birthmarks and their IQs. Is this it right here? Yeah, here. They say their birthmarks and their IQs were identical. They even claimed to have lost their virginity at the same age. Hospital records confirm that the boys already knew what the boys already knew, and the New York press trumpeted the story of the reunited twins. This is the part that I find hard to believe, that they all grew up with the same exact ideology, I guess, the same ideals, the same. They like you said, smoked the same brand of cigarettes, and liked older women, this and that, and the other thing, right? Went to the same colleges.
Yeah, look, see, it says they smoked Marlboros, which was like the main selling cigarette in the country.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah. Now, was it all soft packs? Was it all boxes?
Yeah. So,
let's break it down.
But what my point is that this was a controlled experiment. Yeah. So they fed information to the families, and then that's how the kids grew up. So they fed this. They had to have fed the same information to the families, to each of the different families. Okay, because what they're doing is they're not experimenting to see how three identical twins really grew up. They're experimenting on human beings, and it's just not. It's not just these three. They've done it with multiple sets of twins. They're doing a controlled human experiment on, and this may be a conspiracy theory, but I believe that they're doing a controlled experiment.
Tinfoil hat warning.
Yeah. With the idea to do this to the general population. Here it is. Public appearances were, orchestrated for them by attorney Jack Solomon. See? This was all orchestrated. Acting as their agent, Solomon tried to keep the interviews circumscribed and upbeat, but in no time the press reported that Shafran was convicted of manslaughter earlier this year for his part in a robbery in which an 83-year-old woman was beaten to death with a crowbar. Okay? This was October 13th, 1980? No, that can't be right.
I've got to tell you.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, Sam. I wish he would have said motherfucker.
Maybe he was, and you just cut it out too soon. Maybe he was going to say, I
didn't cut anything out. I just fucking... Shafran enrolled at Sullivan because he wanted to start a new life. His musings on what it was like to suddenly be a triplet, have an ambivalent ring. All of this stuff is nonsense.
Bluff.
One of them committed suicide. I can tell you that. I'm trying to find all this really three identical strangers. I was just trying to find the fucking.
One of them committed.
Fuck it.
And at least one of them committed murder, huh?
I have it right here. All right, it's in the Huffington Post. All right. Two of the brothers, Eddy Galland and Robert Shafran, connected after classmates mistook one for the other at a small New York community college that they both attended. The third saw the news of their reunion in the New York Post, so we have that. They were born in Long Island in 1961. They didn't know the others existed until this seemingly blissful, life-altering discovery flowered in tandem with their nascent adulthood. Quote unquote, it was a miracle, Kellman's aunt by adoption tells the camera, which I don't think it was. Once we got together, there was a joy that I had never experienced in my life, and it lasted a really long time. It became a mini phenomenon in the 80s, most notably with the Phil Donahue show. that had juxtaposed the brothers' uncanny likeness, similar interests, and distinguishable mannerisms, with the fact that they were raised in different households in different cities, and they weren't that far away from each other.
Yeah.
At its core, this is a perennial nature versus nurture debate. Illuminated Pulitzer-winning journalist Lawrence Wright revisited the matter as part of his 1999 book "Twins and What They Tell Us About Who We Are," by which point certain damning details about the triplets' separation had emerged. All right. To this day, Tim Wardle, the British documentarian who directed Three Identical Strangers, is still wrestling with unanswered questions and shadowy enigmas about what really happened to the three brothers. Wardle came across this human interest oddity 5 years ago. His colleague Grace Hughes Hallett had turned to Wright's book for research. A guy named Wright. While developing her own documentary about adoption, she learned the cursory details of the triplets' estrangement. They were part of an experimental, unpublished study run by Peter Neubauer, a Freudian psychoanalyst who became a leading figure of child research in the 50s and 60s, right as psychology was proliferating in American academia. At the time, work that would be today deemed ethically dubious wasn't uncommon. Think of the Milgram obedience experiments or the Stanford prison experiment.
Or Tuskegee Airmen.
What do you mean?
Weird experiments, like what was it on Tuskegee? They did didn't they inject them with diseases and shit like that?
I don't know. The Tuskegee Airmen is a group of black air.
Look it up later.
Pilot.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
Air Force pilots. But you may be right. Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to. After other adoption agencies refused him, Neubauer partnered with the since-shuttered Louis Wise Service, an elite Jewish facility interested in exploring the behaviors of siblings separated at birth. To kick, like I said, this is a fucking human, a human experiment to for lack of a better term, to take triplets and twins and ingrain them into other families that are looking to adopt. To it seems like, and I don't know if this guy was thinking this, but it seems like they were trying to not dilute, but propagate certain genes throughout the country. That's what it seems like.
What? Here's a wild one.
But that's a conspiracy.
What if they start? Our government. I'm not saying they have. This is a wild one. But what if if they wanted to have more obedient citizens and workers and things like that they started affecting our genetic codes in a way so that every time someone had a child, they would come out a specific way, those ways I just stated, and then that way you'd have more obedient citizens and less upheaval, and
maybe sometime in the future, but they're not doing it now.
Yeah, I know. No, I know they're not doing it now, but I'm just saying
or they may be. Who knows?
Or that'd be a cool idea for a movie.
Yeah. So Wardle knew he had a movie on his hands. To have even 50 or 60% of the story is easily enough for a film on its own, but anything else is going to be a bonus. In contacting the brothers and unearthing whatever details they could corral about the study, Wardle and his production teams found themselves facing an increasingly cloudy quagmire. Who exactly had bankrolled the shady enterprise? Like I said, the entire thing. The guy dies. The Louis Wise Center is closed down.
Yeah.
And the reason, and I'm not backing up what I said, but all of this stuff tells me that they were trying to do something like this, and it doesn't matter what race or creed or whatever. Okay, it could have been Italians. It could have been, but right now, Manhattan. Let's see. We know that Manhattan's Child Development Center, which merged with the government-supported Jewish Board of Family and Child Services, was a primary benefactor. So what if they were trying to maybe protect their own heritage or whatever? It doesn't matter. But what if they were trying to do that? What if this guy had it in? Because we'll never know. But what if the primary reason behind what he was doing is to get Jewish people or get non-Jewish people to adopt Jewish children and ingratiate them within the community, right?
Yeah.
and basically crossbreed so that everybody's Jewish. What if he was trying to do that?
Because when everybody's Jewish, nobody is.
Okay, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. What if he was trying to do that?
That's that I guess that could be like a Hitlerish kind of thing, like
That's what I mean.
creating his own master race, right?
What if he was trying to do that?
And here's another wild one. What if it was from a noble standpoint? Like, you do a little evil now, but if you make everybody have the same race in them, then there's less there in his mind. Maybe there's less to bicker about racial.
Yeah, Okay, so how was the study conducted? Researchers from Louis Wise would visit the children's respective homes once a week to administer, test, and record video footages. The adoptive families were told that this was part of a normal practice meant to observe the agency's foster clients. The brothers, too, have vague recollections of the house as youngsters, or the house calls as youngsters. They were uncertain of the visitation's purposes. The boys' adoptive parents were never informed that there were triplets. The agency, in coordination with the Child Development Center, decided its endeavor was ethical as long as the boys didn't know one another existed. That meant the adults raising them couldn't know either, but from the beginning there were signs that something was wrong. The babies would bang their heads against the walls of their cribs, for example, which Kellman attributes to separation anxiety. How many siblings did they separate in the name of research? At least 5 pairs of twins in addition to the triplets. Is everyone who was taken from his or her sibling now aware? No. Is there any chance the study yielded fruitful commentary about nature? Who cares? Louis Wise Services sealed the contents of the study until 2066. That way its subjects wouldn't realize they become flesh and blood experiments. Accordingly, we can't know whether it effectively proved the fate of identical siblings raised in the different environments and how they would turn out to be identical. We do know, however, that as soon as the brothers learned of their circumstances, their sunny reunion grade, mental health concerns surfaced in 1995. Galland killed himself. That's here it is, Eddy Galland. Eddy Galland hanged himself. Is that what he did? It's unfortunate. I mean, 2 of them are.
Now, the one that hung him, the one that hung himself, was he the one that committed? Oh, no. Shafran. He's the one that committed murder.
That's apparently what happened. Yeah.
Okay, so one committed suicide, one committed murder, and then what did the other one do?
Nothing.
Ran all the way home.
We.
Dude, off the top of my head, I can't think of more of a mindfuck unless you're watching the movie Old Boy. You know what I mean? That's a hell of a mindfuck on somebody. For whatever reason, he did those experiments. It doesn't even matter if he was trying to do something good. It's from like some sick perspective or something. It doesn't matter. You don't fuck with people's lives like that. You sure as hell don't separate twins because there's like this bond between them in the womb. And to separate them, because when I've read and watched things about twins that, like, where one died early or one died after they've been together outside of the womb for a while, how it like affected the other one. It's
Robert Shafran pled guilty to charges connected to the murder. He didn't murder somebody.
Okay.
Well, he pled guilty to charges connected to the murder of a woman in a '78 robbery gone wrong.
Okay. So he wasn't like a blatant murderer.
Well,
supposedly
he's connected to a murder, so
yeah.
You make your own decisions on that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the specifics. I mean, what if they knocked her down or something, and all of a sudden she hits her head, and then there you go, you guys went dead.
It doesn't matter.
Oh no! Look! Don't get me wrong. I'm doing it from the point of intentionally trying to kill someone because you're a heartless fuck, and accidentally doing it because you were too goddamn rough.
He pled guilty to.
Either way, he's guilty. I'm not saying he's not guilty, Mike. I'm saying
I never said you didn't. What I'm saying is that instead of explaining it and going into detail about whatever and defending what you want to defend.
You love to say that word, defend.
Yeah, but that's what you do. You start talking and then you start defending yourself. And I don't understand it, but that's okay. He's just connected. He's connected to murdering somebody.
Yes.
And that's that. Here we go. Wardle, who had previously made verite-style television docs in the United Kingdom, spent 4 years gaining the brothers' trust and securing funding for a feature-length project that would chronicle the untold side of their story. But for every mystery he solved, another arose, and they weren't easy to decode. By now, few people involved with the experiment are still living, including Neubauer, whose reputation remained in good standing before his death in 2008. The central lingering mystery concerns what appears to be multiple cover-up attempts exacted by the responsible agencies. Wardle gleaned that 3 major television networks, 2 in the 80s, 1 in the 90s, tried to make documentaries about the brothers and the corresponding experiment. Wardle said he came across minutes from a Louis Wise meeting in which the top brass insisted they would shut down these productions. "Quote unquote, we have contacts there, we can kill this," they apparently said of the networks. Sure enough, all 3 networks nixed their specials before completion, including one involving a Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times reporter. He declined to identify the networks as he was told in confidence, but at least one of the projects is public knowledge. A Newsday story from 1997 says production started on a documentary about their lives, but it was never completed. The turn of events aligns with Wright's summation of Louis Wise. It was run by powerful people from New York's upper crust who were capable of steering the media off their trail. That's why I wanted to talk about this. Because the rich and the powerful seem to want to try to do things to... And this goes right into what you were saying. What if they are trying to do this to make a more socially acceptable human?
Yeah.
That will just follow along with the rules and not fight back.
Yeah.
After a protracted effort, the brothers have since been granted access to a heavily redacted photocopy that Wardle said is hard to make sense of. Has done little to ameliorate
scary, dude.
the emotional obstacles they faced.
If you wanted to get into like a whole like Rockefeller, what had LaGuardia pop in my head? Rockefeller, Rothschild, all that shit. What if, because those highly elite, powerful, whatever the fucks, what if because they look down on all of us, and what if they thought, they think they're gods, right? So they try to just orchestrate everything to work in their favor, so they continue to stay in power. And
that's what they do.
Well, but just like that extra step on it, like where they're actually like trying to make people into drones.
I am fucking not surprised that would be happening. I would not be surprised.
That's some George Orwellian shit, man.
Louis Wise isn't the only entity that has raised suspicions. The Jewish board apparently declined to participate in 3 identical strangers interacting with Wardle and his team only through a crisis management PR firm. Since the film premiered to rave reactions, Wardle said the brothers received a conciliatory letter from Jewish board leaders indicating that they, quote unquote, had the pleasure of watching your documentary in the comforts of their own homes. How anyone from the organization received a private screener of strangers remains unclear. Wardle said he didn't even have a screener at the time. When asked to comment on these specifics, a representative for the Jewish board sent HuffPost the following statement. "We do not endorse the Neubauer study, and we deeply regret that it took place. We recognize the great courage of the individuals who participated in the film, and we are appreciative that this film has created an opportunity for public disclosure or discourse about the study." Editor's note, since the story was published, a representative from HL Group, the PR agency that counts the Jewish board as a client, contacted the HuffPost to refute Wardle's description of the letter sent to Shafran and Kellman. The Jewish board did not, according to HL Group, write that its members screened the film at their homes. The representative declined to provide any further information.
Add this to the tinfoil hat theory. What if this is the only incident that was caught? All right. What if the powers that be, whoever they be, already mentioned,
The Dark Council.
yeah.
Star Chamber. Sorry, Star Chamber.
Yeah. What if this was happening all over the country?
That would be my guess. I mean, if it's happened once, it has to have happened dozens of times.
Yeah, like, what if it's planted all over the fucking country, man? Like,
but they readily admitted that it's happened to 5 sets of twins and these triplets.
Yeah.
And one of the triplets was involved in a robbery that ended in murder.
Yeah.
And one of the triplets hanged himself.
Yeah.
Because of mental problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going on? What would cause all of this? It can't be just the separation anxiety. It can't be just other things.
Yeah, it can't
what
be
about
just
the parents? What about the original parents?
There's plenty of twins that lost another twin that that they kept going on, and they were fine. They were emotionally hurt, but they went on with their lives. So yeah, it can't just be that. It's I don't know. What if they were purposely set up to be in certain kind of families to have certain kinds of raising? I don't know. What if like each one was a different kind of family? Like what if it was like a
No, they said that they were all relatively the
all
same
families
type of family, which I would have to assume middle class because they were all in college.
yeah, and they all went to the same college.
Well, not the same. Two of them went to the same.
My bad.
But it doesn't matter. They all went to at least a community college.
Yeah.
And then they all had families, I think. I'll have to double check that. But as far as I know from what I've read, they have all had families. One of them, like I said, when he killed himself, he had a wife and a daughter.
Uh-huh.
So the other two were still alive, but they're not. They're just as stumped as anyone else. And what you're saying is, what if all this stuff is happening around the country? If it's happening once, it's happened 1,000 times.
What if it's one of dozens of test beds?
Yeah.
And see how well it works in each like section of the country. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if they're doing it? What if it comes down to is, what if they're breeding kids to like socialism is becoming big now?
It is,
right? And I don't understand. I don't get why people think it's okay for the government to control everything. I don't get that. No, not in my fucking lifetime.
I would assume it's because it's been.
I'm going to have mom wash my clothes. You see?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let them give me everything.
Yeah. Well, what you do is you start them young. You get them used to the idea of it, right? And you don't call it socialism. You call it. You don't call it anything. And you have it a part of something else, right? Say, the Democratic Party or something. I'm just throwing the Democratic Party out there, but
right, you're just using it as an example.
Because like a lot of people accused Obama of being a socialist, right?
He is.
Okay, and so there you go, and he's of course a huge part of the Democratic Party. So, I mean,
well, hold on a second.
What?
Hold on. What if they're placing these kids within socialist style families that have a socialist or a communist, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. They're not putting them in with people that are money makers.
Yeah.
But they're middle class, but their political leanings are socialism type leanings. Okay, I'm not liberal, not Democrat, not Republican. Okay,
Yeah.
Take those three out of it. I'm just talking about socialist leanings. Where government or some form of, doesn't matter, or a corporation or whatever,
Powerful entity
takes care of most of your needs.
I mean, to have a workforce that doesn't question things the way they are, what would be a good way to do that? By constantly giving them sugar and fattening foods and television 24 hours a day,
right?
Entertainment, and also, you don't have to go get a college degree because Big Brother's going to take care of you. We'll get you free food. We'll help you with housing. Hell, we'll get you a cell phone. And then all of a sudden you're used to that. You're used to that blanket. You're used to being, sucking off the teat, right? Proverbially or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right?
Right.
So you keep people used to being treated that way their whole lives, and of course they're people, human beings, creatures of habit. You and I are both creatures of habit as well, and luckily, we're trying to fight out of a lot of those habits, and there's a lot of things that I'm a lot different than I used to be when it comes to, say, when I was a teenager and in my 20s and things like that. I like to consider myself more quote unquote woke than I used to be. I still know that there's still plenty of shit I don't know about that I need to know about, learn about, but still, I'm on the road. You know what I mean? So, but there's a lot of people that don't want to know. They just want to stay in that comfort zone, and the comfort zone is like all those things I just stated. Hey, I can go right down to the corner and get another Starbucks. And I can go get me a pizza later, and I'll go watch some Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, they want complacency. They want creature comfort. Socialism, definition, by the way, is any of various economic and political theories advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods. There's also other definitions. A society or group living in which there is no private property, and a system or condition of society in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the state. And if you honestly believe that that's healthy, well, there are plenty of places on this planet that
prove otherwise.
are using socialism as a form of government.
Yeah.
And they are all failing.
It's look. The idea of communism is a good idea.
No, it's not.
The idea
Isn't.
The execution, no, they're absolutely wrong. But the idea is everyone's equal, right? Everyone gets equal treatment. Everyone gets equal this, equal that. But guess what? It never works out that way because there's always people who want power. There's always people that want to be on top, and because of that, you're never going to have that. So you have to lose the idea of it because it's just not. It's not feasible. It's almost like the liberal perspective is, oh, we want rainbows and happiness and peace and all this shit, and so let's do all these ways to try to get it, which end up not fucking working. It's wishful thinking, and guess what? Wishful thinking doesn't work in this world. Okay, wishful thinking might work in a movie, but in the real world, guess what? No.
Yeah, communism is a form of socialism, a higher, more advanced form, according to its advocates. Communism aims to replace private property in a profit-based economy with public ownership and communal control of at least the major means of production, mines, mills, and factories, and the natural resources of a society. Whereas socialism is more government. That'd be really nice if I could just...
Okay. All right, so socialism is where the government takes care of everyone equally, supposedly, and communism is just pretty much where everyone's treated equally amongst themselves.
A system which goods are owned in common are available to all as needed. A theory advocating elimination of private property. That's where the socialism and communism are one and the same.
Yeah.
But the difference is that socialism advocates for government control of goods and production, as where communism is goods are owned in common and are available to all as needed, which never works. Doesn't work.
Yeah, and like I said, it sounds like it could be a good idea. Like I said, wishful thinking, but real world, baby, because we're not all equal. I'm sorry. As human beings, we're not all equal. And I'm not saying racially. I'm saying as human beings. There's people that are driven. There's people that are just people that are complacent. There's people that just they don't want to better themselves.
But that means that you work 80 hours a week while I work 5 hours a week, but I still make the same amount of money as you do.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't work. That's why the whole idea doesn't work because there's too many different kinds of people. So yeah, it's trying to treat everyone equally, but people aren't equal on an equal scale. It just doesn't work that way.
Anyways, getting back to this is why.
That's okay. That's a good spinoff.
Yeah, politics. You know how it is.
So how do you feel about Donald Trump?
I don't. So literally, I don't.
I'm fucking with you.
I know.
Totally fucking with you.
When it comes down to what's going on with these kids, what if this is just a what if? What if they are embedding these kids into different families to indoctrinate them into a specific ideology? It doesn't have to be socialism or communism. It could be anything. A specific ideology, but one that's more compliant to the purchase of goods and services. It doesn't matter what it is. Just continually buy. It's go to work, be good workers.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whatever you're working at, Walmart or fucking Ford or whatever, okay?
Yeah.
Be good workers, vote, spend all your money because hey, what's better and than taking your tax money and spending it. I'm going to finish my thought, but I'm going to come back to that tax thing.
And watch TV.
Yeah, watch TV, get inundated with commercials, and just be complacent and eat your fucking pizza.
Yeah.
Okay? Now I'm going to come back to this tax thing. And the reason why I'm going to come back to this tax thing. how indoctrinated have we become as a society when a commercial can come on or a fucking ad for a website can come on, not even just an ad for a website. When you walk into a store and you see a sign that says, "Take your fucking money and go buy the biggest fucking TV you can." How fucking rude is that? How absolutely intrusive and rude is that? How dare these fucking companies have the balls to say, "Hey, you just got a huge tax refund. You got a huge tax refund." But instead of saving it,
Yeah.
go buy that diamond ring.
Yeah.
Or buy that $700 fucking 50-inch flat screen TV. And that's what they do.
Dude, that's
Or-
funny. Percent diamond ring.
Or make a down payment on a car. You need a new car.
Yeah.
Not hey, and then turn around, and this is the best part.
Yeah.
Turn around and tell you should have 2 months salary saved up,
Yeah.
3 months salary. I don't know what
It's 2
what it
months
is.
salary.
But you should have. Well, it's 2 months salary for a diamond ring.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about saved. It's like 3 to 6 months salary saved up or some shit like that in case something goes wrong. Who the fuck has that money?
I have no idea. You know what's funny about you bringing up the diamond ring was I was giving a shuttle ride to a customer a few days ago, and it was me and this lady, and she, I think she was like in her 50s, and we were talking about stuff like this, all conspiracy theories and the government control and things like that, right? And spend and being overcharged and blah blah blah. And then I brought up diamonds. We were completely in full conversation agreement on everything. And
Until
all of a
then.
sudden, when I brought up diamonds, she didn't even respond to it. She became completely, and I looked down at her hand, and she had a fucking rock on her hand. And it was dead silent for about 2 minutes, and then I changed the subject because I was just like, yeah, I'm not backtracking on that shit at all. Fuck that. But I'm not also not going to be rude about it, so I'm just going to change the subject.
Hey, man, she's the one that you guys were talking about it. Whoever brought it up,
Yeah,
probably her.
I brought it. I used something else to go into diamonds about being.
No. I'm talking about the conversation.
Yeah.
She's probably the one that steered the conversation. I'm not saying that she did,
Yeah.
but she's probably the one that steered because that's usually how customers.
Yeah, I was like,
are.
I think we were talking about like things that you're supposed to do, right? And
Right.
like one of those things is buy the expensive diamond when hey, there's more diamonds than people on this fucking planet, but yet we're supposed to spend that much money on them.
Right.
Fuck you guys, and. Yeah, it was just so funny, dude. I swear I was waiting for a cricket to be hidden in the van or something to just start going off when right after I said it. It was goddamn. So yeah, that some people just don't see it that way. They don't want to see it that way. They don't because look at their husband or whoever, their significant other. They went out and spent all that fucking money on this beautiful example of their love for them. Right?
How else could 2 months last forever?
I don't know. Let's go on a vacation. Let's create some memories.
Yeah.
Instead of a fucking stone on my finger.
How else could 2 months last forever?
A stone on my finger. What the fucking do?
Thank you, De Beers. Thank you, De Beers, for putting that wrongly into people's heads.
Conditioned, man. Straight up conditioned. That's just the way it goes. If you don't love her, if you don't fucking love her, don't buy the diamond. Don't do it because that means you don't love her.
Well, that's exactly what it means, and even K Jewelers says the same exact thing, and Shanko and whatever else, however many of these diamond dealers are, But how else could you prove your love to your significant other than by buying them a really expensive diamond ring, starting at $1,400?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I am. And look, I understand. Like, I don't have a problem with someone getting a ring because it's representative of being and it's traditional. So I understand that. Like, you can just get a gold band or a platinum band or I don't know, maybe even get some sapphires if you really like sapphires. But I'm pretty sure those are way fucking overpriced too. So, you know what? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, man. And some people don't care about the system ripping them the fuck off.
Yeah, well, and then the counterpoint to that argument is who the fuck are we to tell somebody how to live their life?
Exactly. It's their money. I mean, you want to fucking spend it on that shit, go ahead.
If you like diamonds, you like diamonds.
Look, I have a problem with people that spend fucking $250,000 on a fucking race car. I think it's the dumbest thing ever.
But it's not your call.
A high maintenance fucking piece of shit. I don't. That breaks if you fucking hit a speed bump. All of a sudden the car breaks into fucking pieces.
Again, it's
I know
gives
it's
a
not
shit?
it's not my money. I understand.
So don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. It's conversation. I can have an opinion on something. That's all about this.
I don't care what people do with their own fucking money. You do what you want.
And when it boils down to it, you're right. It doesn't matter what I have to say, because they're the ones that live with the decisions they make. And if they're perfectly fine spending that money on that shit, then fuck it. I guess that fulfills them.
It doesn't matter whether it fulfills them or not. It's them.
Yeah, they do what they want. You do what you want. I do what I want.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's what.
Yeah, I don't lose sleep over that shit. Don't get me wrong. It's just an opinion.
I understand that, but we're way off the fucking mark with whatever we're talking about.
That's right. All right, so we're good on this one. That Three Strangers thing is pretty fucking fascinating, and I think it sounds like a lot of people are scared to fucking delve into that shit. It really does.
Nobody's scared to delve into it. They won't give any information.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Nobody that's alive anymore, or nobody that has access to it, will give any information to anybody about what these experiments were about.
Yep. And
everything is sealed until 2066. That's 48 years away.
And then guess what? Will there be a lot of redaction? Because look at the JFK thing. They still redacted a bunch of shit out of it after they finally opened up all those files. And guess what? Were there any revelations? No, there wasn't any revelations, was there?
I don't know. It's most likely it's all redacted, but it doesn't matter. It's sealed away for another 50 years. So who gives a shit?
Yep. So
people aren't willing to tell the truth, and that's the big fucking problem. People are willing to go around in this country and experiment on children for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Not taking into account that maybe they're affecting their lives 100%. And fuck, I lost my train of thought. willing to experiment on children. And be shady as shit about it, and not tell the truth to anybody. And the government doesn't give a fuck, obviously.
No.
And it seems to have come from very high up in the elite society, and that makes it okay.
Yeah. And so, on that note, to everybody, for this episode of Compelled, tell the truth, and we'll see you next time. And stay safe out there. All right.
Stop being so fucking shady.
Yeah, and don't buy diamonds.
All right.